While every big upcoming Ubisoft game like Far Cry 6, the free-to-play Division Heartland, and maybe even Skull and Bones seem to be planned for both the older and the newer consoles, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is a next-gen only experience coming in 2022. I think it's very easy to predict a release month for this game because it's likely going to be around the second movie, which is 100% completed in terms of filming and seems to be finally coming without any more delays in December 2022. So yeah, I would put my money on a December or maybe even November release date for the game as well. And good to note is that it's not a movie game or anything like the first Avatar game Ubisoft made. Remember that one? It wasn't that good. Now I have way more hope for Frontiers of Pandora. It already looks way more promising. It's from a studio behind some really great titles, and there are more reasons to be optimistic, which I will discuss in this video. We also digged up some very old info from like before the E3 trailer. So really everything we know about the game so far in this video. If you're interested in the game, totally leave a like, of course, to show your support, and let's go. Sure, this game will totally benefit from the launch of the second movie and the other way around, but it's still worth noting that this is a new standalone extension of the Avatar universe. You play as a Na'vi and embark on a journey across the western frontier, a never before seen part of Pandora. Also, the official Avatar Twitter account notes that this game has a new standalone story. So while they're totally working together with James Cameron and the movie studio, the narrative is solely created for this game, which should give the developers way more freedom. And I also found this interesting. This is from an IGN interview all the way back in 2017 when the game was revealed for the first time. They say it's an honor to work with the people who worked on the movies and also to create things that no one has seen or build upon ideas that they had but that did not make it into the movies. The first Avatar movie was very long, 2 hours and 42 minutes, but you can of course fit way more into a 20-hour plus game. Like, it's an open world Ubisoft title, so we can likely spend way more time in the world if we want to do everything. And again, they started in early 2017. It's a separate team from The Division 2, so by the time it comes out at the end of 2022, they will likely have worked on it for more than 5 years already. Which I can imagine is needed to create a very different looking game from what the studio has done in the past. Instead of the cities in The Division, we will of course be exploring jungles and other vast landscapes. Next to human enemies, there will also be a lot of wild creatures we can find and tame from the looks of it. By the way, everything from the trailer was game footage powered by the Snowdrop engine, as we see in this tweet from Angel, who works on the game, and I hope I pronounced your name right. Meaning that the things from the trailer might not be a mission we really see in the game, but we can totally expect these scenarios and that the game will look like this. And I think that's not unrealistic for a next-gen only title. In the trailer, we saw flying mounts called Banshees, and we can indeed control them to fight and explore the world. And in another IGN interview that was published very recently after the E3 trailer dropped, it was noted that the game will take you to the skies and travel across them at high speed, and only new hardware allowed the team to couple that mechanic with the detailed world it wanted to present. Basically meaning that if this wasn't a next-gen only game, flying would not be part of it. So really happy they made that decision. We also got a new video from Ubisoft about improvements to that Snowdrop engine, which of course also used in the Division games. They, for example, improved the clouds because we will be flying a lot. They confirm a day and night cycle, a dynamic weather system, and also ray tracing. So we, for example, have better reflection for the lights that come from the plants. And real-time ray tracing also improves the lighting like all around, as we see when the gate opens from the human base. In that same video, they also said that we should expect more objects per frame, which should help with the density of the world. There will also be many interactive shaders, which will help with the real-time wind system they have in place. And plants should be able to react to our character. And we see that in this first-person footage because yes, Avatar is a first-person game like Far Cry, and really the more I read about this game, and you might get this idea as well, but I actually think that Far Cry Primal might be the best comparison if you want to compare Avatar to something Ubisoft has done in the past. In an interview YouTuber Julian did with Magnus, the creative director, it was noted that they went for this approach because it would make the game more immersive, which of course makes sense. You are more immersed if you like see everything through the eyes of the character. I also would not be surprised if they did this to make the title a little different from the many third-person open world games that Ubisoft already has. But yeah, this change in perspective is of course another huge departure for the studio behind The Division. I still expect to see some Division elements or influence in this game though, because it's made with the same Snowdrop engine. The developers note that they have access to any kind of feature or any kind of solution that exists in The Division. I, for example, totally expect some interesting UI solutions or just menus in general that we also saw in The Division. One of the senior UI artist job postings for this game talks about their attention to detail and quality, which extends to our UI's approach, where we continually push what's expected. On Shell also notes that they take accessibility very seriously and massive, linking to a Division article, so totally expect some accessibility features like remappable controls that we also saw in The Division. But what is interesting is that they never mention RPG, which Division of course clearly is. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is a first-person action-adventure experience developed by Massive Entertainment. So I really would not be surprised if we do not see a gear or build system at all. Are you a senior level designer who excels at building and implementing combat scenarios for action-adventure games is one of the lines we see on another job listing for the game. So I don't expect like any damage numbers or a leveling system in Avatar. There will of course be an in-game economy because they are looking for a progression game designer who needs to find balance with our in-game economy. We can expect quests, as they need a quest designer, but again, it sounds more like a Far Cry game than a first-person Bethesda-style RPG. They also never mention if it's single-player only or if it has co-op, so I would not be surprised if the multiplayer works similar to Far Cry 2, so that it's basically single-player first, but friends can join you in your game if you want, as we kind of see in the flying combat footage. That's just my theory. I mean, it could just be an NPC as well. We did learn that NPCs in this game should have different animations and activities based on how players progress and also the time of day. So instead of seeing them always do the same thing, like in Valhalla for example, they change their behavior to make the world feel more alive. Another thing that is also not really confirmed, but that I totally think will happen, is that they will support this game for a really long time post-launch. Not only because there are 4 more Avatar movies planned, so one every 2 years, starting with the sequel in 2022, but also because the experience with post-launch plans was one of the reasons they wanted Massive to do a game like this in the first place. So this was after The Division 1 came out, which was of course a huge success. They were like, okay, this is the right studio for us. They are capable of delivering on that level and also maintaining it as a live game, which is very important to Lightstorm, the production company of Cameron. We will see. I'm at least very curious. I always love the universe they created, and I think it's perfect for an open world game. So totally subscribe to stay up to date on way more Avatar videos. So when there is new info or gameplay, I will be talking about it here. A like on the video would really help me out. And totally check out my previous video on the next Assassin's Creed and if we should be worried about the Infinity direction. For now, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.